This video will contain spoilers for River. It's up to you, but I would avoid watching this if you have not yet read the book. On April 5th, 2022, the first book in the 7th series of Warriors, A Starless Clan, was released. Assuming you have read the book, I will only be briefly explaining the book when talking about each individual character. This video will likely just be me trying to gather my hectic thoughts into one small review. I'll try my best to organize it, but there's no promises. I'll start with Sunbeam. Sunbeam didn't seem like an interesting character in my opinion. At least that's what I thought when I began the book. Also, on a side note, can we talk about how awesome her name is? Like, Sunbeam is the coolest protagonist name we've had, aside from maybe Shadowsight. Anyway, going farther into the book, I realized how much Sunbeam's plot mirrored Bristlefrost's. They both got rejected by the Tom of their dreams, and were kind of sent into a state of mind not quite like themselves. One other thing I noticed while reading is how hypocritical Sunbeam was beginning to act following the events with Blazefire rejecting her. Beforehand, she was just getting frustrated with the way that Lightleap was acting, and even putting herself in dumb situations just to rescue her. However, during her depressive state after Blazefire rejected her, she hears some cats talking about a plump pigeon they lost to a bramble thicket. I think in the coming books, Sunbeam will start to understand Lightleap better and try to reconcile things between the two of them. However, I'm not quite sure that Lightleap will be willing to. I know that I missed some parts while explaining Sunbeam's side of things, but I wanted to keep it quick. I liked Sunbeam's story so far. I feel like she's going to shape into an interesting character. The only problem I do have with the writing here is the way that Shadowsight acts. I could be misthinking, but his actions and dialogue in this book don't seem to correlate with the Shadowsight we grew to love in the previous arc. I hope that they'll fix this in Sky. Next, I'm going to talk about Frostpaw, my personal favorite protagonist. Honestly, she just caught my attention being a RiverClan medicine cat apprentice. Plus, her name is Frostpaw, which is adorable. Another thing I like about her character is how she doesn't seem to hate being a medicine cat. I think that it's implied at some point that she was chosen by StarClan to be a medicine cat apprentice, which I also think might have been her receiving visions at a young age. I'm so happy to have a RiverClan protagonist, by the way. The only thing left is WindClan. Please, Aarons, please! Frostpaw's story is one that interests me the most. When Misty Star just kind of dipped, Reed Star was next, and I was living for it. But then Reed Whisker went missing, which was even more intriguing. At first I thought that this meant the book was going to be about RiverClan cats going missing, and soon it would stretch to the other clans. After they found Reed Whisker's body, though, I was kind of disappointed. Was that all? They were building up to this cat going missing only for him to be found dead? Then, she had to go back to the moon pool to find out who the next leader should be, since the deputy was dead. Here she receives no vision, but as she's leaving she sees a sign. A white curled feather on the path out of the moon pool. This could be no other cat than her mother, Curlfeather, right? This was exciting. Curlstar sounded cool too, although it did feel a bit random for Curlfeather to be the next leader. I went along with it though, and it seemed that Curlfeather and Mothwing were just as shocked as I was. When Frostpaw and her mother were on their way to the moon pool though, well, you know what happened. The dogs came, and Curlfeather was brutally killed trying to rescue her daughter. Something was very off about this. The dogs suddenly showing up didn't feel natural. Like, there's something trying to prevent RiverClan from getting a new leader. I would like to add here that Frostpaw's connection with StarClan is, well, like the book says, unique. How she can just speak to them by willing to do so. That's going to play a big part in the future, I think. It feels like with this connection, spirit cats can easily pretend to be cats they aren't. Very easily. Frostpaw will likely be taken advantage of by RiverClan in the coming books, as she's the only cat who can connect with StarClan in there. Poor Frostpaw, she's probably going to collapse under all that stress. One last thing, her special connection to StarClan sounds eerily similar to how Shadowkit got seizures when he got visions. Flamepaw, aka Nightheart, reminded me of Rootspring immediately. Similar to Rootpaw, Flamepaw was struggling to become a warrior. This made him frustrated and irritable. But the best part of Flamepaw was his distaste for being compared to Firestar all the time. This poor kid doesn't even look like Fire, and he was named after him? I understand why he was upset. And while I do like Firestar, the constant mention of him was irritating. I could be thinking too hard, but wasn't Rootpaw always compared to Tree? Very alike to Flamepaw. I think there's a pattern starting here. Flamepaw's chapters kept me interested with every word. I was curious about his relationship with his clanmates, and how things would turn out with his apprenticeship. I won't lie, I was kind of rooting for him to run away from ThunderClan. I'm not sure why, but that would have been incredibly interesting. It has been brought to my attention by Twitter that a sizable portion of the fandom believes that Nightheart is supposed to represent being transgender. I both agree and disagree with this, because I think that Nightheart was made to represent more than just the transgender community. This representation of being forced into a certain role by their family, upholding family legacy, and being unable to follow your true dreams instead of having to, play violin instead of drawing. And of course, being part of the LGBTQ+, and having to try and suppress it your whole life. While I myself may not be capable of relating to any of this, I have no trouble understanding the hardships of those who do. If you've caught on, throughout this video, I've mentioned how the 3 new protagonists being similar to another from the Broken Code. I'm unsure whether or not the Aarons did this on purpose, but if so, this is definitely building up to something. Before the book had been released, I was hoping that Frostpaw would be a reincarnation of Bristlefrost. And while this idea hasn't been entirely debunked, after reading River, I've decided that's highly unlikely this is the case. But who knows? There's still 5 books to go. The rest of this video is going to be unscripted. I'm sorry, probably going to stutter a lot, but as I was reading the script, I realized I didn't bring up something, and that is the Sunbeam and Nightheart ship. Yeah, I know almost the entire fandom hates this ship, but I think that it could work if it's written properly, which it probably won't be, because the way that Rootspring and Bristlefrost was, like, Bristlefrost was annoyed by Rootspring, and RuPaul was madly in love with this cat who saved him. And then suddenly, when he confesses her love, she's like, "Oh yes, I love you too, Rudy Woody." I do like Bristlefrost and Rootspring too. I'm just a sucker for canon ships most of the time. Yeah, I don't think Sunbeam and Flamepaw is going to be that terrible. Y'all are probably going to disagree with me on this. I was actually kind of hoping for Frostpaw and Flamepaw whenever I first read the description for the book. I don't exactly have any more speculation for what's to come in a Starless clan, other than the slight chance we may discover where double dead cats really go. That's all I have to say about River, which means this is the end of the video. As always, let me know what you think of what I think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Milk Frost out.